If you're contemplating using Excel to then print or create a PDF, one thing you need to bear in mind when you start playing around with formatting and making your sheet look really pretty is the fact that these grid lines by default do not print. So if we were to go to print preview, you would see that on the sheet there are no lines or borders. So if we want borders to print, we need to physically add those borders ourselves. Now the formatting is the same as everything else. You need to select the cells you want to format. So if I would like borders around these cells here, I would select the cells, and then the borders are controlled by this little one single option here. In the drop down, you can see you have a choice of a bottom border, a top border, left border, right border. So that's one of the sides of your selection. No border at all borders. So that's a border around every cell within the range. An outside border, so that's just around the range, so the internal cells do not have any borders. And a thick box border, it's a rectangle around the range, not around the individual cells. You can then have a bottom double border, a thick bottom border, top and bottom border, top and thick bottom border. So these options here are given as extras because they're quite useful for total rows, where you can have a single line above and a double line beneath. And then we even have the options for drawing borders and a grid and erasing the borders. So let's just go for all borders to start with. Now when you choose the all borders option, you get black borders. In fact, any of the borders you choose from this drop down, you get black borders. So I might choose no border and then go for a thick box border, and you can see that just puts a thick box around that selection, but not around the individual cells. If you would like borders that are not just black, then we need to go a little bit further. So we still make the selection of the cells. When we go to the font group, we go to the little pop-out option and choose border. Now in here, we can control the style of that border, and you can see there's quite a few choices and not just a single border. We can choose colors available to us from our themes or standard colors, and then we apply those borders. So at the moment in the preview, you can see I've got a thick border around the selection, so around the numbers. If I then chose the dotted dash option and then a blue option and then clicked inside, the internal borders of my selected area would now have dot and dashed blue borders. So from the preview, I can see that that might look quite pretty. And then OK, and then a little click away to see if that's worked. I've still got the thick black border around the whole selection, and then individual cells have dotty blue borders. So when we go to print preview, we see those dotty blue borders. Let's just zoom in by removing the fit to page, and you can see there the borders much more clearly. So we can control the style of the border, the thickness of the border, and the color of the border. So if I select my title cells and then hold down Ctrl key to select the left-hand title cells, I can go back to the same place, so the little pop-out, into the border options. Now I can see it's grayed on the bottom and the right because some of the cells I've selected have borders on each of those sides. And in fact, these ones here have a border on the right and these ones here have a border on the bottom. But I want new borders for these. I want a little thin dotted one. I want it in white because we've got a dark background. And I'd like it on the inside of each of these cells. And because it's in white and the preview's in white, I can't see them. And I can't see any of the choices here either. So when you decide to go with white, always make the choice of style first. So OK, and we see that we've got white internal borders on those cells and those cells. So that's multiple cell selection of non-adjacent cells into the font and then border. And we chose white, so let's just choose black for a second. Choose that one and then white, reapply, OK. And we get dot dash in white between the cells. If you want quick borders, we use the shortcut icon here to apply borders to either side of the cells or all of the cells. If we then want to control color, a different border, then we need to go into the dialog box and border. And then you're in charge of the style, the color, the thickness.